My son is a writer and an artist. He paints pictures with words that rival the art he creates with broad, vivid strokes across canvases he's allowed to have. It's his way of remembering who he is at his core, what he values, and where he dreams of going in his life. He tells me all the time on the phone, "Dad, someday I'm going to have my own gallery." I believe him, but it gets harder every day. It's been 26 years now, but I remain hopeful and prayerful because, to be honest with you, hope and faith is all I have. I miss my boy. I remember when Yusef, 3 years old, he put on this pastel blue Easter suit, and he told me, "I want to be just like you when I grow up." A young father's dream. It's one of the many memories that's permanently etched in my mind. Like the many Saturdays we would travel across Michigan in search of the best hamburger in the state. More than anything, I miss what we missed out on. I never got the chance to see my son go to prom, graduate from high school, fall in love, or do anything else teenagers do. When I heard that judge say he was a menace to society as he was sentencing him to life, I couldn't recognize the boy he was speaking of. I mean, how can 15 years of a boy's life be summed up like that by one decision? Yusef made choices when he was a kid that left the family devastated, and I would never deny his role. But was he ever really a kid? In America, Black boys are rarely, if ever, seen as kids. From the time we are born, there is a narrative being created to seal our fate of early death or life sentences. I understand how complex these changes can be because I dealt with it myself when Yusef's brother was murdered. But I cannot deny the system that creates the condition these decisions are made in. My son didn't pull the trigger, but he was there and long ago accepted the responsibility for his choice that night. My son's age, his past actions, and circumstances has placed him right in the middle of big societal issues. The Supreme Court has made a ruling that juveniles can't be treated as adults. So why is my son and many others now languishing behind bars, serving life sentences they were given as kids? Lost in all of this is Yusef's life, his real story, who he loves, who loves him, what inspires him, what troubles him, what keeps him going. As his father, I try to cut out the noise and help people to understand that under the surface, beyond the assumptions, there is a real person underneath, someone who has dreams and fears and a life that's unique, valuable, and worth knowing. Incarceration changes people, how they view their life, their freedom, the chances they took, the choices they made, and the opportunities they hope to have again. The prison where they spend years of their life becomes wrongly the most essential elements of who they are. No longer able to be a son, a daughter, a partner, a neighbor, a friend. Incarceration turns people in the eyes of society, first and foremost, into criminals, thugs, and things to be discarded. What you have done becomes who you are. But Yusuf is much more than just a label. He's my son. My hope is you can see this. Through the crucible of time and the harshness of space, my son has been forever changed. He is no longer that confused 15-year-old boy. Today, he is a 41-year-old man fighting for his survival. But until things change, society will always define him by his past and where he's been. But you don't have to. You can make the choice to see him as the man he is today. I wake up every day in prayer, and I hope to recognize something familiar in this unrecognizable time. I wait for hope to arrive in my mailbox, or in the ring of a phone, or a JPay message. Days morph into weeks. Weeks morph into months, and months into years. But some days are special and clarifying. This morning, I woke up from my slumber. I was listening to the birds sing, and I thought, how blessed I am to be able to socially distance. And within a moment, I felt a tinge of guilt, because I know my son and other men and women still in prison are not afforded this luxury. I inhaled deeply. And I began to calm my spirit through meditation and thought about the many things I was grateful for. I reflected on the book I was reading before bed, the sweet orange juice I gulped down, the buttery eggs sitting on my plate. It forced me to think about this sacred journey that we are on. and how my life's purpose is to serve those still in prison as much as it is to free my son. Then it hit me all at once. It is through this portal of fatherhood into the clandestine world of prison that society can finally see the truth. The truth being that we have a humanitarian crisis, powder keg in prison that's about to blow up in our faces. For persons in prison, it is no longer a question of if, but when they will contract the coronavirus. My son fits the Supreme Court decision to not let kids die in prison. But there he sits, and here I am. The injustice that we are confronted with and that you can no longer look away from. The incompetence and ineptitude at saving lives that the prison administration perfected long before coronavirus swept through here. No parent should be forced to endure this torture. My son should not have to go through this journey. We lock our children up. We throw away the keys. We throw away their lives. We throw away their humanity. Though we know that it is wrong. But after today, you can make it right. My life is wedged between the conditions, the contradictions of what we have been taught about Black boys in prison and what I know about my son. It is devastating to watch him go through this journey. Currently, there are conversations swirling around the prison population due to concerns related to COVID-19. As important as these conversations are, they often have the effect of reducing the lives, reducing the stories, reducing the realities of the people in prison to talking points or mere examples of larger issues. These simplifications are exacerbated by or even used as examples of larger issues. These simplifications, in fact, are refracted through the lens of race and class.